take away his means of fighting, all his supplies and supply lines and everything else. You kill his will to fight. Custer is a disciple of Sherman and Sherman's type of warfare. Custer most likely believes that if he destroys, burns the whole village, kills a couple thousand ponies, you know what? He doesn't have to fire another shot. So what if all the Indians get away? Where are they going to go? Most of them are going to trickle back in and go on to the reservations. War over. Custer is either repulsed by the warriors who came up to protect the non-combatants, or he moves back up this way to wait for Benteen, right? Remember, he's expecting Benteen reinforced with 3 companies. Custer takes up a position behind you in the cemetery. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a national cemetery like Arlington. Has almost nothing to do with the Custer dead. Now, everything I'm describing and I'm going to describe to you, this is going to take time to develop. Maybe an hour, maybe longer. Because first of all, obviously it takes the warriors some time to disengage from chasing and fighting Reno several miles away. They have to ride back to the village. They stop, get fresh ponies, and a lot, they get off their ponies and leave the ponies behind. They come up here on foot, using draws, coulees, ravines, all the natural vegetation to start infiltrating the soldiers. Guerrilla tactics, as it were. Now, if you look at old pictures of the battlefield, they show that the battlefield, the vegetation looked different years ago than it does today. Old pictures show the whole area. This whole area was polluted with sagebush, so it was much more conducive for warriors. Hide behind bushes, fire a shot, go bush to bush, firing at the soldiers. So there's fighting going on, but it's opportunistic. Probably very light casualties on either side. Custer most likely has the illusion he still has everything under control. However, more and more warriors, minute by minute, coming up this way. You follow this trail down, and down below where you see the pedestrians, down below them is a drainage we call the deep ravine. The ravine runs all the way down to the trees in the river down below. Eventually, warriors are crossing the river, coming up through the ravine. Crazy horses said to have come up through the ravine. And eventually, as time goes on, they're starting to spew out of the ravine like lava from Mount Vesuvius. So Custer, having his 2 companies, he has one company still fighting up here on the ridge, another company down in the so-called basin area around the ravine, possibly in an attempt to stem the flow of warriors. In the meantime, the soldiers on Calhoun Hill is split up. One company dismounts, they lead their horses to a nearby ravine there, and they form a skirmish line, the dismounted soldiers, to hold the warriors at bay. Then about halfway out the ridge, on the other side of the ridge over the slope, one company is being held in reserve. The 3rd company most likely is up on the ridge halfway between the reserve company and Calhoun Hill, holding warriors at bay. But as time goes on, even over there, even though the skirmish line's doing a good job, warriors are infiltrating the area. They start trying to stampede the horses. Now, in the cavalry, horses is the cavalry's lifeblood, right? So this can't be allowed. One of the companies, probably the company between Calhoun Hill and the reserve company, they lead a deliberate counterattack. About 38 men in this company, Company C. They drive warriors back several hundred yards away. But they chase several hundred warriors, and the warriors do flee. But 38 soldiers, there's several hundred warriors. Lame White Man, he's a Southern Cheyenne chief. He sizes up the situation at a glance. 38 soldiers, several hundred warriors. He comes riding up among the warriors. Come back and fight! It's a good day to die! We can kill them all! He leads probably the only Hollywood-style grand warrior attack of the whole Custer portion of the battle. Several hundred warriors sweep up over the 38 soldiers. Half of them are wiped out. The other half go fleeing for their lives up toward Calhoun Hill. Up to this point, I told you the skirmish line had done a good job holding the majority of the warriors at bay. But now, pardon me, with their comrades in deadly peril, they have to switch the line around, either splitting it up or just moving the whole line, trying to save the lives of their comrades. And what happens was this leaves pathways open for hundreds of warriors led by Gull, Two Moon, Crow King, He Dog, Low Dog, Rain in the Face. They sweep up like a tidal wave over Calhoun Hill. Two Moon said, "We swirled around them like water around a stone." All of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, Custer's commands falling like dominoes. Company C, overrun. Company L on the skirmish line, overrun. Now, you're down here. You're like, Custer, you can't see Calhoun Hill. He didn't either. You can't see what's going on over the ridge. He couldn't either. But he most likely could see signs that some soldiers were fleeing. Something's going terribly wrong. He has to fight warriors off this hill, takes the high ground, a place to reconnoiter, get a good idea exactly what's going on, a place to rally his command if necessary. By the time Custer gets up there, Crazy Horse leads a charge up over the ridge, sweeps down over the company being held in reserve, effectively cutting the whole right wing off from Custer's command. So within minutes, Custer has lost 3/5 of his command.